So I'm going to show you the 360 view of the walls, and then I'm going to try and explain how it works. So when I crank these, they go up and down. But it's going to be easier to explain if I make one. So I'm going to start with a cork just to make it simple. So I'm going to grab a piece of wire. It's relatively straight, and then I'm going to push it through the cork to make the crank. I'm going to make it relatively long. So the shape of the crank should be sort of Z shape. So if this is my block, and then this is my piece of wire, so the block could be either the wooden block I have here or the cork. Then I want to make a bend like that, and a bend like that on the other side. They can be different sizes, but that's the general shape. So I'm going to make a bend up, and like that on that side. So that gives me my basic crank. And then on this side, I'm going to repeat the same bend. So then I have a crank on one side, and the rotational motion gets transferred to that side. So now let's place the wolf here. So the basic idea is I'm going to grab a piece of paper, I'm going to cut it roughly to the length that I need. It's a piece of cardstock. And so the idea is that the piece of paper gets pinned on one side. So that's just a regular sewing pin. And that would be my main pivot. So this piece is going to pivot up and down like so. You can see that pivot right here, the little pin. So it's going to pivot up and down. And then I need to make a slot where this wire is going to go. But as you can see, the wire travels left and right. So if I were to do like a single hole, then it would be stuck. So the slot is going to allow it to just move up and down while this kind of rotates inside of it. So I'm going to just mark the extreme locations of the slot. So it could be something like here to here. That slot, it's often larger than I think it needs to be. So it's going to trace it. Might cut it a little bit longer than I think I need to. So I have my slot and my pivot point, and I'm going to assemble it again. So if I push it all the way in, so here we go. Let's see if this slot is big enough. So this point is good. And then if it goes all the way to the other side, that's good too. So now the next problem we need to solve is that, as you can see, when it goes to this point, then the slot wants to fall in. So we need a sort of washer so it stays in place. We can quickly fabricate a washer out of another piece of paper. So that's my retaining washer on that side. So I get now that it doesn't fall that way, and I get this sort of up and down motion. And then I like to put another washer that retains it in place. So I'm going to repeat the same. Just cut it out of paper. So now this one retains it, so I can get sort of up and down motion when cranking or left and right. So that explains the motion of a single one. And here, as you can see, I have, the little circular washers on one side and the other. This one does too. So to make a second one, you would repeat the same operation on the other side. And then the shape of this crank is gonna determine the sort of frequency at which they alternate. So if you see my crank here, this one is a little bit off in relationship to that one. So when this one is going up, the other one kind of alternates. So that's a matter of sort of twisting it and figuring out where you want it. So I'm going to draw this crank to be clear. So if this is the top view for the walls, I have one here, and I have this valve on it. So these are the washers on the valve. And then on this side, what I did is I went like that, so I could place another valve here, and then I continue this wire, and that's what becomes the actual crank. So that would be the shape of that wire. And then, as you can see, there is one on the right, or one on this side, and one on the other side. And that's how they alternate. I hope this helps.